I decided to put several similar prophetic dreams all in one video. These prophecies are concerning the future of Canada and the United States. They clearly show God's heart and his judgments. They also show the coming world war and economic collapse. These dreams took place over 15 years. Wednesday, June 5th, 2002. When I was praying last night, the Lord spoke to me about some worldwide events. He told me that a great war is escalating. Nation is rising against nation, and that soon troops will be on Canadian soil. He then told me that this land shall be laid waste. He tells me this often. He then told me he would give me some revelations in the night concerning this. I had a dream that night. I dreamt I was in my hometown. It was nighttime and there were troops on my street. They started shooting at us, but we dodged the bullets. The others that were with us ran with their children behind the ravine. I was left standing with one family and their 2 children. I then saw a giant tank come out from behind the houses and start to take aim at my house and us in the way. I then held up my arms and walked towards the captain of the troops. They stopped firing and let me proceed. I asked the captain to let us go as we were no threat to him. He responded in a thick Russian accent and said that he would give us a head start before they chased after us. At that, I began to run and I picked up one of the little babies and proceeded to lead everyone away. We all ran as fast as we could, and when we got to the ravine, I heard the tank fire its cannon at my childhood home. I realized we were on the run and had no clothes or any food, just our faith. When I awoke, the Lord began to speak to me.
The blood of the unborn children cries out to me, and I will satisfy their cries. This land and the U.S. shall be laid waste for their murder of the unborn children. No amount of fasting or weeping will cause my arm of judgment to stop until I have satisfied their cries. For this generation is an abomination in my sight.
I asked the Lord when this would happen. This is what he said.
When you see a great star fall from the sky, a great tragedy, it would be 90 days after that.
I then saw what looked to be a very slow, moving streak across the sky, going from the east to the west. I could see things breaking off and falling to the earth. Friday, June 20th, 2003. I dreamt I saw a globe of the world on the floor of the shabby house. As I got close to it, it began to shake violently, at least 4 feet off the floor. At this, I thought it must be the enemy doing this, so I began to rebuke it. As I began to open my mouth, it was instantly bound and I was prevented from rebuking it. I got really scared and it shook even more violently. I looked over in the corner as I saw something moving. It was a small baby that was naked and lying on the floor. I looked and I saw in its hand a cutting blade that was very sharp like a razor. It was a blade that was used in those food processors, but much bigger. I then awoke. This is what the Lord said.
I am going to shake this world. No amount of prayer or fasting will stop my hand. I will not relent until the cries of the unborn have stopped. Apathy has taken over my people. They worry about Harry Potter and start big campaigns, while innocent children are murdered every day in the hands of these wicked people. Who has ever seen such insanity? My hand is coming against these nations that practice these detestable practices. I will shake every nation.
Dream, February 11th, 2003. I dreamt I was at a large church in Toronto and I was in the foyer. I was talking with people about the real church and someone I knew started screaming at me, defending the church. I then began to prophesy loudly. The Lord is coming to destroy this place. He is coming in power to tear down every man-made structure. Nothing shall be left, only the true church, a church without walls, a church where Jesus will be the headship, a church with the Father's love. This church will wear shoes. At this point, everyone began to get really angry at me, and someone screamed, "How is God going to do this?" I screamed back as loud as I could, "War, war, war." I then woke up. As soon as I awoke, I felt the Holy Spirit, and the Lord began to speak to me. This is what he said.
I have released the destroyer across this great land. Nothing shall be left standing. For the want of the world has stolen my people from me, and I will not stand for it any longer. I shall destroy all those worthless idols they cling to. Nothing shall be left them. Then I will see who are truly mine. Those I see worshiping me and giving me the glory, though they have lost all, are mine. Those who become embittered and wallow in self-pity will be cast into the fire. I will remove all those that are not mine from my sight.
Dream, February 1st, 2008. I dreamt a friend asked me to go to the grocery store, but I had to take a horse and buggy. I jumped in the buggy and proceeded on my way. I was going up and down very tall hills, and I thought I must be in Virginia. Many times the horse would go down the hill way too fast, and I thought it would crash, but he seemed to do just fine. There were no cars anywhere. When I finally got to the grocery store, it looked as if civil war had broken out. Bodies lay in the streets everywhere I looked. Most seemed to have died from starvation. Grown men appeared to weigh about 80 pounds. They were less than skin and bones. Some were crawling across the ground, and I wondered how it was possible that they were still alive. They were so grotesque I could not even look at them. Several had bullet holes in them, obviously from trying to get groceries at the grocery store. One man rolled over and moaned. He had 3 arrows in him. When I got to the grocery store, there was absolutely nothing left. Every shelf had been cleaned out, and it looked like an abandoned store. Bodies lay in the aisles. I went back outside to go home. I realized many people were naked as they were lying in the streets. I wondered if people stole their clothes. February 17, 2008. I dreamt it was nighttime and I was in an open field. I thought the location was near Kitchener, Ontario, but it was hard to see any landmarks since it was nighttime. I saw something move up in the skies and my eyes were automatically drawn to it. I saw the moon and it seemed unusually large. It appeared as if a big chunk had broken off and was falling. It looked to be about a quarter of the moon. I remembered this from a dream I had before and wondered how it was possible for a piece of the moon to be broken off. Below that, I saw 4 smaller moons, approximately 1/4 of the size of the large one. Each one appeared to be a quarter waning. I saw a shadow of a man with some kind of object above him. There was a long rope attached to this object, and the man appeared to be climbing down it. I realized suddenly that there were thousands of these ropes hanging down from what appeared to be dark helicopters. Each one had men scurrying down the ropes to the earth below. I was standing right where several of them would land on the ground, and my heart began to pound. I then began to fly up to where they were, and one of them passed me by, hitting me in the shoulder. He hit me so hard I thought my shoulder would break. His boots were black and all of his clothes, and there were no markings anywhere on them. I knew these were secret forces, and this was the beginning of the Great War. February 25th, 2011. I dreamt I was standing in the U.S. somewhere. There were several people all around me, and for some reason seemed quite content. It was a beautiful sunny day, very peaceful in fact. The sun was shining, the air was warm. You couldn't ask for a better day. I looked at a woman who stood across from me, and I recognized her from some church somewhere. She seemed gloriously happy for some reason, and had a real look of contentment on her glowing face. I suddenly heard a sound behind me and turned around to see who it was. We were suddenly surrounded by troops in dark uniforms. Some were sporting machine guns, other high-powered rifles. They started escorting us and pushing us and shoving us against our will. They seemingly came from nowhere, and somehow I knew they were taking us to concentration camps. Fear gripped me inside. I thought to myself, why didn't I leave the U.S.? Why did I stay here? I knew this was coming, and I knew it was coming on a bright sunny day when people would least expect it. I knew I was going to die and that we're all going to be eventually shot.